Hey everyone, Mike here today with some thoughts here and a review on the Riftbreaker. This game came out about 2 weeks ago. I just completed it today, and so I'll talk a bit about the game, give some overall thoughts here, and I'll try and keep this under 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and load my save here. This save should be, this is an okay save to start with. And yeah, I might have hitches and stuff happening during this recording. It is not the game's fault. This is only something I've had happen during a couple recordings I've tried to do. I actually just did a pretty long test recording and didn't get anything, so we'll see. Yeah, I just beat this game, like I said. It's a pretty neat mix of a lot of genres. You know, you've got some base building stuff, almost tower defense-ish in a sense. There's a lot of exploration going on, resource management, you know, survival, whatever. It's a neat mix. I think the closest game you might be able to compare to would be something like Factorio, sort of. I think that's a pretty similar game. But anyways, let's find a nicer location. So we're gonna ditch that base, and that's fine. And instead we're gonna go to this other area where there's nothing. So I'll quickly show you base building and all that. So the general plot of this game: humanity needs a new home. You're sent here to try and explore and see if this planet's suitable. Of course, to be able to do that, the first thing you need to do is to establish a bit of a base, a bit of a foothold, and so the game gets you to go through the basics, right? Get some power, start automating resource gathering. The game has two main resources, which is basically carbon and iron, or carbonium and ironium. Ironium. Okay.
Okay, let's grab the geoscanner and start searching for treasure.
Ah yes, we gotta search for stuff. So anyways, yeah. So those are your two basic resources. Once you've gathered some of those, the game will then send you on your way and try and get you to do some more advanced stuff. So I think cobalt is kind of the next resource. But by then you've discovered that there's some aliens and whatnot, so you've also got to study them and see. Obviously they don't seem to be particularly friendly, so we want to study them, see how they've adapted to their environments, because one of the things we we have discovered is that there's a lot of stuff like that happening in this world. So there's a lot of different places that are kind of hostile and kind of interesting, I guess is the best way to put it. And so by scanning and learning stuff from some of the various aliens and some of the various plants around, we increase our knowledge of them, we discover new technology, and so on and so forth. So that's the general idea behind the game. And it's a game that's made to kind of scale a lot too. They expect you to go through some upgrades and expand your base a lot. So if we do a quick base here, let's just kind of drag and hold, and you can quickly place down various energy producing things. There we go, that's what I was waiting for. So obviously I've finished the game. Some of these missions to try and find new resources, they've all been kind of the same, so I kind of knew what to expect. I was just waiting for the game to say, hey, I've located the deposit you want to look at. So anyways, so yeah, we usually build up a bit of walls just to defend ourselves. And so we've got power, we've got storage for some of that power to give us a bit of a buffer. Since I'm later in the game, the next thing I want to do is just upgrade stuff. So again, just click and drag. Very easy to do. I've got a lot of resources as well to do this, but you know, as you work your way through the campaign and the story, that's really how it is. You know, you get used to doing this a couple of times. And then the other important part will be to put in some static defenses. So I'll just get the last of the upgrades going here. Generally, it doesn't take very long, and like I said, the game's designed around this idea, so you know, expanding bases isn't too hard. Generally, connecting power is not a thing you have to worry too much about either. It generally kind of does it on its own. Usually, as long as you have
Warning. A new group of hostile
a lot
creatures is coming from a nearby nest.
Great. As long as you have a lot of buildings kind of close to each other, everything just sort of works. So you usually don't have to connect stuff. This is not a factory building game per se, so there's no like assembly lines to worry about and things like that. This is really more
The wind is very slow today.
casual in
Wind
that
turbine
sense,
efficiency is
which
not going to
again,
be that
depending
great.
what you're looking for, is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends what you want, right? So if you want a game that has maybe a little bit more of a focus on the offensive side, then this has a little bit more of that. I think... Yep, I'm aware. We need more AI power. Be nice if I had enough power, right?
This should be enough to craft
Alright.
some good equipment. We can stay here and try to find more, or get back to our primary objective.
Cool. Well, that was good timing. Those guys came in and just attacked us. So obviously want to get the upgrades going. And so you'll be doing an okay amount of this right as you make your way through the campaign. That's kind of the whole idea of this game, and I think they've done a reasonable job. You know, I've had to re-engineer
Warning.
bases,
Hostile creatures are coming from a nearby
and
nest. We should go
that's
there
not
and clear
been
it out.
a huge problem so far. Similarly, you know, establishing new bases, that's also generally been pretty fine. Like, I've not found this process to be too tedious, and I've had to do it a few times so far. Because what happens is once you've kind of gone the basics out of the way, the next thing the game will get you to do is to go around and collect three of the next tier of resources, and so the next tier is going to be, I think it was like palladium.
Wind is picking up again.
Yeah, palladium, uranium, and titanium. And then there's another 3 sets, or 3 tiers, that'll get you to look into, and those resources are going to be more, yeah, we're going to run out of power here. Which is fine, I can help out. I've got you're very strong in this game, so you have a lot of capabilities to kind of hold your own. Your base defenses will stop you from getting too overwhelmed, of course, but yeah, you can definitely hold your own pretty darn well in a lot of these cases. So yeah, we're out of power, which makes sense. You know, we're nighttime, so my solar panels aren't running, and I've only got half of the wind energy coming in.
Hostile creatures are coming from a nearby nest. We should go there and clear it out.
Anyways, so that's that. That's kind of the basics. You know, we gotta go explore around and see all the sights and sounds, and occasionally get surprised by some enemies. This game, yeah, this map here has some specific mechanics that we have to be careful. We don't want to set off those bombs. Other maps have other mechanics with their own unique aspects. So this just happens to be the gimmick, if you will, of this one. But yeah, beyond that, there's a couple other little things. So we got plenty of different biomes, and each of the biomes have kind of their own specialty. There's no like connecting resources or anything like that. Everything just kind of makes their way to the, well, everything's globally accessible. It's just power and liquids you generally have to worry about in each of these different outposts. Crafting system's super straightforward. You know, just more resources because it's all part of the tech tree, which again, very linear, straightforward. Some of these technologies are gated by campaign stories or some of the research stuff, the scanning that I was doing earlier. And the scanning all goes into the database. So if we look at like a base enemy here, the more you scan, the more information you reveal, and eventually you start doing bonus damage to them. And they drop bonus resources. Same with some of these plants, for instance. Which is pretty handy actually, because you can artificially plant these things anywhere, and so you can harvest like any resource you want anywhere in the game, which is a pretty cool thing. But anyways, yeah, we're approaching 12 minutes, a bit longer than I wanted. And so what I'll say is this is a really cool game. I've had some fun with it. I spent about 20 or so hours to complete it. It's developed by Exor Studios. It's an in-house game engine, which actually works really well. You know, Ryzen 3600 with a GTX 1080 Ti. I am using the AMD upscaler that they have. If I wasn't recording this video, I don't tend to use it. But just for this video, I'm giving myself a bit of GPU overhead because I'm actually using ray trace shadows. I can also do ray trace ambient occlusion if I keep the scaling on. So there's a couple options for it. And then you can do traditional scaling if you want as well. But yeah, ray tracing works on a GTX 1080 Ti. It's, you know, it's still a pretty powerful video card, but it doesn't have the same acceleration. And yet, I've seen a bit of a performance hit, but not significant enough compared to some of the other games that use it. So yeah, it's not a full price game either. I think it's 34 Canadian, so it'll probably be around 30 US for a brand new game, which I think it does pretty well. My biggest complaint really is I wish it just had a little bit more depth in some of its mechanics. Like, I think it does everything well, but I just wish it went a little bit further into one direction or another, right? Like, it does everything well, and that's it. It doesn't have, I mean, the swarms of enemies and stuff kind of differentiate it a little bit, but it doesn't quite differentiate it enough for what it's doing, I find. But despite that, it's still a great game and I had a lot of fun playing it, so it'll be interesting to see what they intend to do in the future. They've already talked about adding multiplayer campaign, or multiplayer co-op rather, so that'll be neat to see. I don't know how many more updates they intend to do. They've already put out a handful, so I don't know if they intend to do a lot of content updates, or they'll take all the ideas they've had here and immediately start working on a sequel, which I think might be the way to go. It's tough to say, but I'd definitely be keeping an eye on them and seeing what they're doing in the future, because like I said, this game pretty impressive, pretty cool. I like what they're doing here. And yeah, just here's some synthesizing them doing and planting and harvesting some stuff on this planet. But anyways, 15 minutes, good enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next week with some other gaming.